Well, hello, it's Drew and Terry here, and welcome to another episode of the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed. And today we're going to be talking about finding the right help. So, a few episodes ago, maybe even last episode, we had a recruitment business owner by the name of Alan Derry, who he was sharing a story about how he went from zero to seven figures in his recruitment business. And one of the things that we asked him was like, what advice would you give to a recruitment or search business owner listen to this now who wanted to get to where you are? And what he said was that one of the most important things is to get the right help, get the right mentor, get the right support with you. And it's something that we've mentioned a lot of times before, something that we've echoed in other places, and obviously it's what we do. But yeah, we just want to sort of go into more detail of one, the importance of finding the right help, the right support, getting the right coach or the right mentor, and also how you pick the person that's going to lead you to where you want to go as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that with Alan, just a bit of background. Alan literally started from zero. Alan was a punk rocker, lived in the squat. He now has a multi-million-pound recruitment business, and Alan's now financially independent. And you kind of think, Drew and I are great believers in this. If somebody's done that, it's well worth understanding what they did and looking at what they did and then doing it yourself. You know, I think it was Anthony Robbins that said, if you do what successful people do, you'll get what successful people have got. So one of the reasons we were really keen to share that. And then Drew and I were talking off camera, and we wrote an email about this, that something like nearly 30% of people that attempt to climb Mount Everest between 1922 and 2006 actually made it to the top. So only 30% of people make it to the top of Mount Everest. Now think about that. What that means is that most people have failed. And in fact, a lot of people have actually died as well. So something that Drew and I were talking off camera. Anything to add to that, Drew?
Well, yeah, the point of that is like, obviously, I mean, those numbers might not surprise you. Obviously, it's a big achievement to climb Mount Everest. It's one of the tallest mountains in the world. So, well, it's the tallest mountain in the world. So, like, climbing to the top is obviously a hard task, a hard thing to achieve. And anyone that's done it should feel sort of really proud of themselves. But the relevance of that sort of stat is that in today's business world, 80 businesses out of every 100 go out of business within the first 5 years. And then in the 5 years after that, of the 20 survivors, you only have 4 left. And then 5 years after that, you're down to just 1. So in other words, what that means is there's actually a 99% chance of you going out of business in the first 15 years of operation. Now, obviously, you may be listening to this and you've already got past that point. You may think it won't happen to me. And it may not. I'm not saying that you are going to fail. What my point I'm trying to make is, or the point we're trying to make is that actually only 1% of businesses make it past the 15-year mark. And even then, survival doesn't necessarily mean profitable, as you may know. So the point we're trying to make is it's actually harder to set up and sustain a successful business than it is to climb Mount Everest. It's a difficult task, especially in recruitment and a search industry where it can be cutthroat. There's new competitors entering the market all the time. You've got all these challenges to deal with, people hammering you on prices. It can be a really difficult industry to, like, one, survive, but even to go beyond that and go beyond survival and thrive and grow a really profitable business that really gives you, again, the financial freedom that we're talking about, is a really difficult task, harder than climbing Mount Everest.
So just to recap on that, so quite an amazing statistic, isn't it? That it's easier to climb Mount Everest than it is to run and build a highly successful recruitment research business for more than 5 years. That's a 15 years rather. That's pretty amazing statistic. As Drew said, you might be thinking, yeah, but what's that going to do with my business specifically? Well, most people would never ever, well, if you've got any sense, most people would never ever consider climbing Mount Everest alone. They would get some help. They would get a guide. They would get someone who knows the fastest route, someone who's perhaps done it before, someone who could perhaps help you stop you from freezing to death. Not a bad idea, really. Even if the most experienced climbers in the world wouldn't go off on their own and try and do this on their own. Even the most experienced climber would, at the very least, take a buddy along. So I think that makes sense, isn't it? They just wouldn't go off on their own. At the very least, they'd get some advice from somebody. But even saying all that, despite all that, here's the thing. Even running a highly successful recruitment or search business is actually harder than climbing Mount Everest, and you've seen the numbers there for yourself and it proves it. Most people, most recruitment search firm owners will still attempt to do it without the right help or support. And then they wonder why they can't attract the right clients. They wonder why they're struggling to command the fees that they believe they deserve, and they fail to take their business to the level they really want to be. And, as Drew said, there's so many recruiters out there, even if they don't fail after 15 years, they're actually struggling. Literally every day of the week, we're talking to recruitment and search firm owners who've been in business 20. I talked to a chap the other day, he's been in business 24 years. And he said, at one time, Terry, I had 8 consultants. I'm just down to, there's just 2 of us now. I've never been able to get it above that number. And that is equivalent to trying to climb Mount Everest without any assistance.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. And I think one of the ways that you can shortcut your success, avoid the mistakes, is to learn from somebody who's already been there, done that, and maybe made the mistake that you want to avoid. And it could be in different areas of the business, but you need to get the right help and support. It will massively increase your chances of success. And again, just to hammer home, when we're talking about success, we're not talking about just having a business that managed to go past 15 years. I'm talking about having a business that creates the profits and the freedom that you want. Because at the end of the day, most people anyway set up in business to achieve freedom and to achieve a certain financial level. So it's about creating a business that does that for you. And you need a coach, you need a mentor, you need support. Or it'll be a lot easier if you get the right coach, the right mentor, and the right support.
And I get you might be listening and might be thinking, yeah, well, you're bound to say that. This is what you two guys do, and you're right. It is exactly what we do, and we do help recruitment search firm owners. And this isn't about us, by the way. And this isn't a case of get some help somewhere. Get some help somewhere. It doesn't have to be necessarily us, but you certainly do need to get some help somewhere. Don't try and take Mount Everest on your own. Don't try and run a business on your own. Get some help, and get some help from people that know as well. And I get that you might be tempted to talk to your friends in down the bar, or your relatives who are going to give you their business advice. But it'd be well worth talking to people who've either seen it or know other people that've seen it and have seen what works. Anything to add to that, Drew?
Yeah, just to add, again, I know sort of on your first recruitment business failed because you didn't get the right help, or when you look back now, you think I didn't get the right help. And sometimes it's not about just getting help in general, like you mentioned, listening to advice from your friends, mates in the pub, or even your partner. If you get the wrong help or help from the wrong people, again, it could lead to failure. It could lead you down the wrong path. So again, it doesn't have to be from us, it doesn't have to be from Terry or from me, but whatever it is, get support in the areas that you're weakest in. Get someone who can shortcut that whole process, shortcut that whole journey for you, tell you sort of what mistakes to avoid, tell you what shortcuts you can take to take you on a path that you're going down.
And just to add to that there is, in fact, we had an email from somebody saying, why would anybody listen to you, Terry? All this information's available online. A lot of the information about growing your business. You're absolutely right, by the way. There is a load of information online about how to grow your business. I'm not sure how much of it is actually accurate, but if you go online, there's also loads of advice on how to perhaps how to cure a cold or how to get fit or whatever. And again, quite frankly, there's a lot of crap that's written online. So just be a bit wary of that, and get some advice. And one of the things that we do is one of our mantras is that our opinion doesn't matter. Whatever my opinion is on a particular marketing campaign doesn't matter, but neither does anybody else's. What really matters are the results of your tests. So what we tend to do, we'll share with you what the most successful recruiters are doing. We know that it works. We'll give you the templates. We say, look, these templates work. They work for your competitors. So it's really what we call the shortcut to success, because we're gonna show you tried and trusted methods that actually work and have worked for your competitors. But whoever you talk to, make sure that you get some advice from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Make sure they'll be able to also as well get advice for other recruitment search firm owners. There are a lot of people out there that will give advice about marketing and the client attraction, the candidate attraction, but there are very few that have been at the coalface as we have and worked in recruitment or worked in executive search. and really understand. And I'd really advise to get advice from someone that really understands the industry.
And again, just to add to the point you made earlier about sort of some of the advice that you get online, like even so, yeah, you get a lot of good stuff and you get a lot of shit as well. So there's one sort of challenge you've got, sort of wading your way through the shit to find actually what really works, which is difficult enough. But I also think that there's value in having someone just look at your business from an outside perspective, because I mean I've lost count of the amount of times that we've had a conversation, or I spoke to a recruitment owner directly, and you sort of said, "Oh, why don't you do this, or why don't you put your prices up? Why don't you do this? Why don't you go back to that old client?" And it's something that is actually obvious, right, from an outside view. But when you're in the business working day in day out, sometimes you can't see the wood through the trees. And again, it's something that we all probably know intellectually, but it's always good, I think, just to have that sounding board, someone you can bounce ideas off, who's outside of your business. Because when they're inside, when they're emotionally involved, like even when it's your like family members, wife, friends, whatever, they're emotionally involved in you. So you want someone who can see it for what it is, see it black and white, and just say, look, here's what you're doing that's working, here's what you're doing that's not. Have you considered doing this?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. That's a really good point. So I think the other thing is make sure you get advice from people that have had recent success, because there's a lot of people out there that will advocate things like cold calling. The fact is, the industry's changed dramatically since certainly I was in the industry. The only way that you could get business 27, 28, 29 years ago was just cold calling. And the industry changed dramatically since then. So what worked, say, 20, 30 years ago doesn't work as well now. In fact, none of our clients would dream of cold calling. And we're constantly having to readjust our strategies for our clients to keep them up to date with the changing times. It's the only way you're going to win in this market. And one of the biggest things that hold about recruitment to search feminists today is they're stuck in the dark ages, using old methods for getting business that worked 5, 10, 15, 30 years ago, but are becoming less and less effective today. So make sure you get advice from someone who's a proven track record of getting the results in today's market, not just in yesterday's.
Yeah, and again, I think we'll go into the three main things to sort of you need to look for in terms of finding the right help. But yeah, number one is make sure you get someone with recent results. So literally within the last couple of months, how have they helped a recruitment business owner get the results that you're looking for in the last couple of months, literally? Because as Terry said, you can get people who have achieved, like, done really well in recruitment. Again, you can name loads, like people who have had big successes in recruitment, done really well, got the results that you're looking for, but the strategies they used worked 5, 10, 15, even 20 years ago. And again, not always, but sometimes the strategies don't work anymore. So if you're going to learn from them, you need to make sure that the strategies that they're teaching have got recent results and worked in the last couple of months, literally. Otherwise, again, you want to sort of approach that with caution. And the second thing you want to look for and find the right help is make sure you find someone who practices what they preach. So in marketing in general, in business, although your service may be different to a different business down the road, attracting clients in any industry, in any market, the fundamentals always stay the same. So there might be a slight change in the style or the wording of something or the language used, but the fundamentals stay the same as long as your goal is influencing human beings, which obviously it should be, right? So if someone's telling you to market and promote your business in a certain way, you want to look at them and see if they're doing the same thing in their business, right? The amount of people who talk about you should be cold calling, you should be, doesn't matter what it is actually, you should be doing X, but then they're not doing it. I mean, we spoke to a recruitment business owner probably about 6 months ago now, and he'd spoken to somebody who was going to help him with the marketing, and the person that he spoke to was saying, you need a podcast. In order to grow your business, you need a podcast. But then when he looked into it, the person who was giving him this advice didn't have a podcast themselves. And it's that sort of thing you need to look out for. Are they telling you to do something that they're not themselves doing, or are they telling you not to do something that they are doing? Again, another person who sort of, I know obviously online, he tells people not to blog, not to podcast, not to do content marketing, which I'm not saying he's wrong in that view, but then you look at his business and he is doing that. So again, you need to make sure there's sort of a congruency there in what they're telling you to do and what what they're doing themselves, and just find out why they're not doing it, because it could be like good valid reason why they're not doing it in their own business, but you need to make sure you know what it is. Like, why aren't they cold calling? Why aren't they doing what they're telling you to do, or why are they doing what they're telling you not to do? Does that make sense, Terry?
Yeah, it does. And just to add to that, we held a live event a few months ago with a room full of recruiters from all over the world. And one of the things I remember is what one of the recruitment business owners in the room said, that she sought some advice around social media marketing, and engaged a social media expert for her recruitment business, who then told her to close down her Facebook because it wasn't serving any purpose whatsoever. I mean, that kind of advice, this kind of, to say I was speechless is an understatement. And one of the reasons being this, we've got so many clients who generate a ton of leads using Facebook, and if you know what you're doing on that, you can generate a ton of leads. And the thing I'd add is, as well, when people then say, "Oh, you've got to be using social media," or they claim to be a social media, ask them this question: how many leads will I expect to generate? What are you doing at the moment that actually generates leads? And I'm going to be clear about this. We're all about generating leads. It's, anything that we're going to share with you, anything that we share with our clients, is about generating leads. You need to get clients to be responding to your activity and coming back to you saying, "I want to talk to you about your recruitment or search services." That's what it's all about. But you've got to be careful as well that you're talking to someone that actually knows what they're talking about and has actually done it. And not only for getting business, but also for getting candidates. If you're working in an area that's a candidate-driven market and you want to find ways of getting candidates to come to you, raise their hand and indicating they're interested in your jobs, there's some fundamental things that you should be doing. That anybody that's worth their salt around client attraction and candidate attraction will be able to show you how to do that. So talk to people that know what they're doing. Anything to add to that, Drew, which I just said there?
Yeah, and then the last thing is like to make sure they understand the recruitment and search industry inside out. So the strategies that work in one industry can be translated into another, we just covered, but it's difficult to make that translation without having sort of a detailed knowledge of the industry, of the field that they're going to operate in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense, yeah. Sorry about this. Someone's distracted us on the other side of the room there, so I was just telling them very politely to go away. But it makes perfect sense.
And again, like one of the things you want to look out for is, one of the things you need to consider is, one of the things that makes the recruitment and search industry unique is that, like, we've always got two people to please, right? You've got your clients, that's pretty much the same in any industry, but we've also got candidates as well, right? And actually, at times, your candidates could become your clients, and your clients could become your candidates. So you need someone who understands that and is able to navigate through, when in terms of marketing your business anyway, and able to navigate through between the two without I guess messing things up for the future. So you need someone who knows the industry inside out, and they need to know how recruitment works. So they're just sort of three main things, right? So again, just to recap, you need someone who's got recent results. Literally, I'm talking within the last couple of months, they've got results for either, like, it could be someone who who's a recruitment business owner. So they've either got results in their own business in the last couple of months, or they've got results in someone else's business in the last literally couple of months. It's longer than that. I'm not saying don't trust them, don't believe them, but just approach with caution. Make sure that it's a strategy that still works, or make sure that the way of using the strategy still works. You need to make sure you get someone who practices what they preach. If they're telling you to do something or telling you not to do something, find out why. Make sure it makes sense. Again, there may be a completely logical explanation, and you think, fine, okay, that makes sense. But if there's not, then again, approach with caution, and you need to find someone who knows the industry inside out, understands the recruitment like the back of their hand. Like, no matter what area it is in your business, need to know that they need to know that recruitment's different from any other industry in a lot of ways. Okay, there's a lot of similarities, but it's different in a lot of ways as well. And so they're the three main ones. One thing that we didn't have sort of in our notes covered today, but I've just been reminded of a post I saw on LinkedIn by sort of a friend of ours, someone who came to one of our last events, Alex Rawlins, who was sort of making a point that the recruitment industry is, like, I don't know if you saw it, it's actually on, he tagged you in it.
That's right, yeah, I did see that.
The recruitment industry is full of failures and people that people that didn't make it and only listen to people that are successful. And he's right in one sense, but like what I would say, it sort of goes a bit deeper than that, because everyone that you see that has been successful has probably failed more than the people that you actually would call failure. So I think, again, going back to the sort of the show we did with Alan Derry, he literally nearly lost everything in his business, and now he's sort of one of our most successful clients. So you need to look at it both ways. Like, you can't. I don't think you'll ever find someone who hasn't had any failures. And then actually, I think if you did, I'd be cautious with them as well, because you need someone who actually like knows how to sort of ride with the good times, but also knows how to navigate through the bad times, navigate through the shit as well. So I wouldn't say necessarily if they had a failure, then they're no good, but I'd look at how they reacted to the failure, what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's more revealing than the actual challenge itself. It's how they react to that challenge, or whatever that challenge is. And the other thing I'd add to that is, well, if you meet somebody and they say, I'm here to help you, and I've done this, and I've never had any problems, I've never had any failures, and I don't know, quite frankly, that's bullshit. Anybody that's talking like that, because as we all know, life isn't like that, and whoever you are, whatever you've done along the way, it's not always going to go right. And if anybody's standing in front of you saying, no, whenever I did it, it was just perfect. I never dropped any clangers. I never dropped any balls. I never ever made some big mistakes when I was building my business. I would run for the hills, quite frankly, if you're talking to people like that, because I think it's all part of being successful. You've got to encounter those failures. Whatever if you think about any sport, basketball, football, or whatever, to score those points, you've got to take some shots. But do you know what? You appreciate that you're going to miss sometimes, and that's okay. So anybody that says, "Oh, I never miss. I just get it right all the time," I said, really, I'd run for the hill. So almost, I'm not contradicting you, but I would say it's all relative, and it's not all about some individual claiming to be perfect and never getting it wrong. There's something wrong if somebody ever says that.
Yeah, and again, just to sort of have my point, I think everyone should fail at some point. Again, you mentioned sort of in sports. I mean, sort of again, we're recording this just after the Champions League quarter final, where Ronaldo's sort of scored a great goal. So Ronaldo, football player, scored a great goal, but he also missed a lot of chances in that game as well. So effectively, that's like their failures, right? And I can't think of. I'm sort of racking my brains. I can't think of, like, if you read any business biography, I can't think of anybody who's been plain sailing and they haven't sort of fucked up massively at some point, nearly sort of hit rock bottom. So I think failure is part of the process. It's just how you react after that failure. And if you do come across somebody who hasn't had any failures, as Toby said, they might be lying. But I think even if they're not lying, then the truth is they haven't really pushed themselves either. So really, again, I think even then you want someone who's pushed themselves. If you want to push yourself anyway, you want someone who's pushed themselves, and then you want someone who knows how to navigate through failure, because I do think it's part of business. Nothing that you do is going to be work 100% of the time. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to mess up, things are going to go wrong. You're going to experience challenges, but it's how you come back from that, how you deal with challenges. And even if like you do fail, how you come back from that failure, how you sort of bounce back and use it as a lesson, use it to grow, rather than something that keeps you in a particular bracket or keeps you at a particular level.
Yeah, excellent. There's probably a few more things that we could go over that we perhaps could go revisit at a later date, but I think that's kind of covers it for now. And look, if you're a recruitment or search firm owner and you want to grow your business, go to terryedwards.com/start and book a telephone meeting. There's no cost, there's no obligation. But myself and one of our members of our team will get together with you on the phone, and we'll look at exactly what's going on in your business, and we'll share with you exactly what you can do to overcome your challenges. We'll share with you what the most successful recruiters and search firms are doing right now to generate business without ever cold calling. We'll share with you how recruiters have quadrupled their sales over a 12-month period, and how you can as well. I will repeat, there's no cost, there's no obligation. All we ask is that you're the owner or the director of the business, and all of the owners and directors coming into the meeting. It's a telephone meeting, so you haven't even got to travel anywhere. So go to terryedwards.com/start. If you're serious about growing your business, if you want to discover what the most successful people are doing, go to terryedwards.com/start. Drew, thank you very much indeed for this today. Until next time, take care, take action, and be relentless.